Yet dealerships are still full. Parking lots are still full. Driveways are still full, which raises a strange question. Who is actually buying these trucks? Because according to the numbers, most Americans shouldn't be able to afford them, and yet somehow they do, or at least they try to. A decade ago, a $50,000 truck sounded expensive. In 2026, it sounds normal, almost reasonable. But normal is not the same thing as affordable. And that's where this story becomes uncomfortable, because this is not really a story about trucks. It's a story about identity, about debt, about status, about loneliness, about the quiet psychological forces that convince ordinary people to spend extraordinary amounts of money. And by the end of this video, you may realize that the people who can truly afford a $50,000 truck in 2026 are not who most people think. There is a moment that happens in parking lots all across America. A man steps out a truck that costs more than his parents' first house. The truck is spotless. The paint reflects the sky. The wheels are larger than some dining tables. The monthly payment is nearly the same as rent in many cities. And yet, as he walks away, there is something strangely familiar in his expression. Not pride, not satisfaction, just a quiet absence, as if the thing he worked so hard to obtain somehow arrived without bringing what it promised. That feeling matters, because later, we'll uncover why some of the people driving the most expensive trucks often feel the least financially secure. A decade ago, a $50,000 truck sounded expensive. In 2026, it sounds almost reasonable. That may be the strangest part. Not that trucks became expensive, but that people became accustomed to hearing numbers that once felt impossible. $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. Prices that would have shocked previous generations now pass through conversations without resistance. And somewhere in that adjustment, something deeper happened. The price of the truck changed. But so did the psychology of the people trying to buy one. Because the question is no longer who wants a $50,000 truck. Almost everyone understands the appeal. The real question is who can actually afford one. And the answer reveals something uncomfortable about modern life. Because affordability is no longer a simple financial calculation. It has become a psychological one. For most of human history, people compared themselves to their neighbors. Today, they compare themselves to millions. Every scroll creates a new reference point. Every video introduces another lifestyle, another driveway, another truck, another person who appears to be doing better. The human brain evolved in small tribes. Now it lives inside an endless global showroom. And that leads to a question few people ever ask. What if affordability has nothing to do with income? Neuroscientists often describe dopamine as a prediction system, not a reward system, a pursuit system. The anticipation of getting something often produces more excitement than possessing it, which explains a strange modern phenomenon. People spend years dreaming about purchases that only satisfy them for weeks, sometimes days, sometimes hours. The truck arrives. The smell is new. The dashboard glows. Friends notice. Neighbors glance. For a brief moment, the future finally arrives. Then the brain adapts. The extraordinary becomes normal. And normal is never enough for very long. This process is called hedonic adaptation. But most people experience it as something far more personal. A feeling they struggle to explain. A quiet disappointment. Not because the truck is bad, but because they expected it to solve a problem it was never designed to solve. Loneliness, insecurity, identity, the need to feel successful, the need to feel seen, the need to feel that all the years of effort meant something. The truck can carry weight, but it cannot carry those things. And here's something most buyers never consider. What if the real cost of a truck isn't the monthly payment? Yet modern culture constantly suggests otherwise. Advertising rarely sells products. It sells transformations. The vehicle is not transportation. It is confidence, status, belonging, respect, freedom, a new version of yourself. The message is subtle but relentless. Buy this, become that. And after hearing it enough times, many people stop asking whether they need the thing. They start asking whether they need the identity attached to it. This is where affordability becomes complicated, because financial affordability and psychological affordability are not the same. A person earning $70,000 may purchase a truck they cannot truly sustain. A person earning $200,000 may refuse one entirely. The difference is rarely mathematical. It is emotional. Today, some truck loans stretch for 7 years. Many owners will still be making payments long after the excitement disappears. Modern economies depend heavily on future income. Loans allow people to spend tomorrow's money today, which means millions of people are not buying trucks with current wealth. They are buying them with future hope. Hope that salaries will rise. Hope that emergencies will not happen. Hope that life will cooperate. Hope that the version of themselves 6 years from now will somehow handle the consequences. And hope is powerful. But hope can also become a form of denial, especially in a culture that constantly encourages consumption as self-expression. But here's the part almost nobody talks about. The people most likely to struggle with a $50,000 truck aren't always low-income earners. Sometimes they're the people earning the most, because income doesn't determine affordability. Behavior does. And that's where this story takes an unexpected turn. The result is visible everywhere. Record vehicle payments, longer loan terms, growing household debt, people appearing wealthier than they feel, because many are not purchasing comfort. They are purchasing appearances of comfort, and appearances require maintenance. That maintenance creates pressure. Pressure creates anxiety. Anxiety creates exhaustion. Exhaustion creates emotional numbness. A strange emotional cycle begins. People work harder to afford things, then become too tired to enjoy them. The truck sits outside. The owner sits inside, answering emails, joining meetings, working overtime, trying to afford the freedom parked 20 feet away. The machine represents freedom. The lifestyle required to pay for it often reduces freedom. The contradiction is difficult to ignore once you see it. And it gets even stranger, because the next realization has almost nothing to do with trucks. Many people today have access to more products than any generation before them. Yet rates of loneliness remain stubbornly high. Stress remains high. Disconnection remains high. Because human beings do not measure well-being through possessions alone. They measure it through relationships, meaning, community, purpose, a sense of belonging. The problem is that those things cannot be financed. No bank offers a 60-month loan for friendship. No dealership provides promotional financing for purpose. No luxury package includes emotional security. And so people continue searching in places where those needs cannot be found. Not because they are foolish, because they are human. The digital age has amplified this confusion. Social media transformed consumption into performance. Purchases are no longer private experiences. They are public signals, evidence, proof, statements about who we are. The truck is not simply a truck. It becomes content, identity, branding, a declaration to strangers. Look at me, notice me, recognize me. And beneath that desire often exists something surprisingly vulnerable, a longing that has existed throughout human history, the longing to matter, the longing to belong, the longing to feel visible. Technology promised connection. In many ways, it delivered comparison. The result is a population that knows more about strangers than neighbors, more about influencers than friends, more about appearances than realities. People see the truck. They rarely see the debt. They see the success. They rarely see the stress. They see the highlight. They rarely see the sacrifice. Comparison creates distorted realities. Distorted realities create distorted decisions. And distorted decisions become normal when everyone around you is making them too. Today, millions of people are financing vehicles for longer than ever before, not because they love debt, but because rising prices have quietly redefined what normal means. And that brings us to the most important question in this entire story. What if the truck isn't the purchase at all? What if the real purchase is status? Validation? Belonging? Identity? This is where the question becomes deeper. Who can actually afford a $50,000 truck in 2026? Not merely financially, emotionally, psychologically, Existentially, perhaps the answer is someone whose identity does not depend on owning it, someone who views it as a tool rather than a solution, someone who understands the difference between utility and meaning, someone who can buy it without expecting it to repair loneliness, without expecting it to validate worth, without expecting it to create a life that already feels absent. Because the hidden danger of modern consumer culture is not spending money. It is outsourcing meaning. Believing fulfillment exists one purchase away, one promotion away, one upgrade away, one possession away. And yet, history repeatedly teaches the same lesson. Human beings are remarkably adaptable. Whatever we obtain eventually becomes ordinary. The excitement fades. The novelty fades. The external symbol fades. What remains is the life surrounding it, the conversations, the relationships, the memories, the sense of purpose, the ordinary moments that no advertisement can package. Perhaps that is why so many people feel exhausted despite living among unprecedented abundance. The abundance addressed comfort. But comfort was never the deepest human need. The deeper need was connection. And connection cannot be purchased. As the sun sets over thousands of driveways across the country, expensive trucks sit quietly beneath the fading light. Some belong to people who truly love them. Some belong to people trying desperately to justify them. From a distance, they look identical. The difference exists entirely within the mind. And maybe that is the final realization. The most important measure of wealth has never been what sits in the driveway. It has always been what remains when nobody is looking. The peace you carry. The relationships you protect, the purpose that guides you, the identity that survives without constant validation. Because a $50,000 truck can transport you across a continent, but it cannot tell you who you are. Only you can do that. And in an age where almost everything is for sale, that may be one of the few things still priceless.